Hi, it's T with Teaquilts, and I'm here with the Spectacular 16 Mystery Quilt Sew-Along. We are working on the last part of the mystery this month for May, and that would make it part 5, and it's going to be really exciting. You're going to be surprised. So I'm going to move you over to my long arm area where I do most of my cutting and layouts, and then I will show you what we're going to do this month. Now with my block, so you're going to need all of your pieces because this is the finale. So you're going to need your 16 patches, your half square rectangles, you're going to need one regular, one reverse, and then you're also going to need one half square triangle. And with those we're going to be making a 4 patch. When we lay these blocks out, we want to make sure that all of these blocks are done the exact same way. You don't want to mix this over here and put this over there. So make sure that you lay out your blocks so that everything matches up in the end. One way that you can sew this is that you can sew this half square triangle to this rectangle, do that 16 times, and then sew this rectangle to the 16 square block, same orientation, 16 times. So you can do them separately, or you can chain piece them like I've already sewed this together so that I can show you. You can chain piece them. Once you get your block set up, you just sew a top block, then do a bottom block. Go back and do a top block, then do a bottom block. You can stack all 16 of them together. Do them any way you like. I actually did all 16, well, as many as I could because I'm making demo pieces. I sewed all of these together, pressed them, and then I sewed all of this together and pressed it. Now this block has just been finger pressed so that it laid flat here. So now I'm showing you one that I have pressed. It's a little wrinkly because, you know, I've been waiting to do this video. So I ended up pressing my seams open. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can press them in opposite directions. They're not going to abut to anything else. I will tell you my opinion on it when we get to the final block. I press seams both ways just so that I would know. So I still got these pieces, this block in 2 pieces. I just wanted to show you how it was pressed. And then here, once I sewed those units together, I made sure that I used a pin because when you press your seams open, you don't have anything to abut your seams to. So I put my top piece, say right here, and then I just slide it up the seam to line it up really well. And then you're going to press that seam as well. I'm holding the video camera, guys, so this mystery has been this way the whole time, and I apologize for the shakiness. But this is my block here completed, and when you look at the back of it, you see where all the seams are pressed open. I did do one block where I pressed the seams in opposite directions, and right here you can kind of see that it's a lot going on right there. It's very lumpy right there. And what I find is when I turn these over and I run my hands over the block, I can really feel that knot. Whereas right here, it's like it's flatter. It doesn't feel the same as this one over here. So I decided to press all of my seams open. Again, that's totally up to you. So go ahead and make all of your blocks, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to set these blocks together. Alright, I am back, and I have half of my quilt top on the design wall. I found the easiest thing to do was to take your top piece, your top, this is actually, I didn't say this before, but this is actually the top of your quilt top, and then your other piece is going to be your bottom. And I just lay that up there just so that I can give myself some space to lay out my blocks underneath. And what I want you to notice is that you got to pay really careful attention to placement here. You want to rotate your blocks so that you have 3/4 of a circle happening here. And that's a flower, the red, so ignore that. So 3/4 of a circle, 3/4 of a circle. And then in the middle here, you're going to make a complete circle all the way around here. But we're only working on half of the quilt, because when we do half of the quilt, we're going to repeat that and make the other half. So what I want to show you is when you sew this together, you're going to have this row here. They're all going to receive a sashing strip on the outside edges as well. So you should need 5 sashing strips to sew this block row together. And then repeat that down here. And then when you do that, make 2 of them because you're going to need 2 of them. And then in the middle here, you're going to sew those 2 together with 1 of your sashing strips. You should have 3 of these left right there. You're going to sew that in between here and your next set. And then when you get both of these sets done, you're going to sew the last sashing row in between the 2 and sew those 2 together. So I'm going to go do some sewing so I can show you what I'm talking about here, and I will come back. So we're back, and I wanted to show you that I have sewn my top row together, and I added a sashing strip 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you want to do that for all of your rows. You're going to do exactly 2 like this, 2 like this, and then I will go ahead and continue sewing, and I'll come back when I've got all of my rows sewn together. Hi Teaquilters! As I was sewing my second row together, I realized that I didn't tell you how to press. For these rows, you're going to actually press towards your sashing fabric, which is also what we did when we made our sashing rows. And what that's going to do is make those seams nest when we go to sew them together. So I'm going to go sew my other 2 rows together, and then when I come back, I'll have my sashing strip here, and then I will do that twice. So I'll have a total of 3 pieces, not including the border pieces, the top and bottom. So I'll have this section here all put together with the sashing strip. I'll have that twice, and then I'll have the last sashing strip that goes right there in between the 2 rows. So I'm going to go do that, and I know by now you probably have all of yours done, correct? So I'm going to show you the results of the sewing from the Teaquilters for part number 4 while I'm sewing the next section. See you soon. Back, and I have my 2 halves sewn here, and while I had it at the sewing machine, I went ahead and sewed the top and bottom row onto each end as well, because that's going to be your next step anyway. So go ahead and finish that, and as you can see, even from half the quilt, that top row that we sewed, your top border unit that we sewed a few months ago, it now finishes off the sashing, which makes that actually your first border. And then to make the quilt not be square, we only add this light and scrappy print to the top and bottom, so you don't have that for your sides. If you want that, you can do whatever you want with this pattern. You can make this quilt bigger if you want, but I have already sewn the sashing piece to the other end of this, so I'm going to put this up on the wall. Alright, so not my best photo that I can put up here for you guys, but at least you see the actual quilt top. So I need to sew these two halves together. I have already sewn the bottom piece on, and I have already sewn the top piece on. Now remember, we also cut our outer border. We got 4 more pieces left to add to this quilt top. We're going to sew this center seam, then we're going to sew the sides, and then the top and the bottom. So that's the order of sewing. I'm going to go ahead and sew this quilt top together. Make sure that you send photos of your completed quilt. I'm going to give you, since I don't have to do any sewing, I'm going to give you until, say, June 5th. Give you a few extra days to send me your completed quilt top, so that I can make a video and maybe get it up by the second Thursday of the month of everybody's completed quilt. It can be quilted, bound, or just the top. It's up to you. So go ahead and send that in, and then we'll have everybody's in one video for everybody else to see. So also remember that this video is going, these mystery videos are going to disappear. This is not a Teaquilts pattern. It was just a quilt that I saw a photo of online, and I don't know if it's a whose pattern it is. It had no identifying information with it, and I just liked it and decided to use it for my mystery, so I'm not going to keep it here permanently in case it's a for-pay pattern. Alright, I will see you all in the next segment when I get this completely sewn together. Hi, it's Steve with Teaquilts, and it is, let's see, let's check the time. 3:00 a.m. I have just finished my mystery quilt, the Spectacular 16s, and I am actually going to put up a photo that I'm going to take in the morning. I just want to have this on the video so that I can end this video without having to record more tomorrow. Just add a picture. And yes, I love this quilt. It can be so many things that you could do different with this quilt. You could add another border on the outside of the border that we have to make it a little bigger. You can make more blocks, but I did not give you instructions or fabric requirements to make more. I'm in the process of trying to make smaller quilts that I'm going to be using in lectures. So I'm trying not to make everything super huge like I normally do. So that's why I wanted something small, and I have some sample battings and things like that that I need to test use. So I'm trying to make smaller quilts. But there are so many different things that you could do with this. One thing I will say is when you're adding borders to a quilt top, make sure that you are pinning your edges and then your centers after you've already cut your pieces to size, which is what I've already told you to do in the previous videos when we made the border and cut the border pieces. So make sure that when you're putting those on, that you pin on the edges, I'd say in about 3 inches on each side, and then your center, and then go from that center to the 3 inches on each side. Find the center of that, put pins, and then put 2 more pins in the middle of those, and do that on both sides of center. I think you'll like the results of your borders being added to your quilt instead of just randomly sewing something onto your quilt top. And that'll help with the easing. And if your border is bigger than your quilt top, then you want to sew with your border and your sashing if you need to. Sew with that facing the feed dogs, touching the feed dogs, and the part that's the smallest piece should be up, that you see as you're sewing through the sewing machine. That would help with easing as well. So that's going to be it, guys. I'm tired right now. Congratulations to everybody that's been working on this project with me. I really appreciate your time and patience and your willingness to go into this journey of a mystery sight unseen. So I appreciate that. So with that, I'm going to end this video. Again, remember to send your photos to teaquiltsnews@yahoo.com. Also, I'm giving you until January 5th so that I can get the photos in. I don't have to do anything but just do the photos, so it shouldn't take too much longer to edit that video. I'm trying to get this video edited before noon and upload it. So I'm going to bed now, but I do plan to get up in the morning and start editing this video. So that's going to be it, guys. You all stay blessed. Be safe, everyone. Quilt out. If you're here as an unsubscriber to my channel, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also hit the bell so you receive notifications, and also join us over on the Facebook group Teaquilts LLC, where you can share your projects with us all through the year. So that's it, guys. You all stay blessed, be safe, everyone, and quilt